Hello everyone and welcome back to Kuon. Last episode, we discovered our sister was magical and we found that our father, Domon, has a predilection for spiders as his hair. One thing I was reminded about with the first episode, because by now the first episode is live, by Dezo Penguin, that Domon and another character that we will find along with the Fujiwara clan are real people. Domon, I'll talk about a lot later because some of the stuff that he has done in real life might be considered a little bit of a spoiler for this game. And for those people who are just joining this game for the first time or just seeing this game for the first time, I don't want to spoil it too hard quite yet. So we have quite a lot to do today, and I hope we can get through it all. So let's get started. Lots of blood all over the place. And here is one of the events, kind of an optional event. And you can see the ghost traveling across the bridge, nice and slowly, as we hide underneath the bridge. So you can just wait for him to pass by and he'll never notice you. Rushing out of the bridge and running will obviously get him to notice you, and he's not difficult. None of the ghosts are. It's just one of those little bits of atmospheric scares, I think. So, let me pull out the map and let's show what we're going to go to first. We're going to hit up the carriage area. And then I think we're going to go to the spring pavilion. The spring pavilion, rather. I think I just kind of trailed off there, but that's kind of the direction immediately, and then we're going to head up to the north pavilion. We're gonna head up this way. We already went through there last time, and I most certainly do not want to have to fight whatever made this. There are huge scars on the wall made with great force. Seems like a bit of a monster. Where's Bloodletting Beast when you need him? So this should be our way into the carriage lobby, more or less the foyer. It's the closest to the outside world that you'll come. You're going to get ambushed immediately by a Gaki. And so he's not dead, so we're gonna go in for the kill. Ow, right in the head. Gonna drop us a little bit of dust. So let's take the moment to explore a little bit around. So this is basically the outside wall. Through here is the exit of the complex into Kyoto at large. I'm pretty sure this takes place in Kyoto. The gate is shut tight. So, since we can't just leave, because that would be the end of the game, I guess, let's see what else is here. So this would probably be where people would store their carriages and their equipment, because obviously it's called the carriage place, but this is more probably for visitors. And what we'll find is a brand new spell. Summon card, Tsuchi Jogo. Hands pulling demons into an underground spring. It's more or less a trap card, and you'll lay it down in maybe a choke point and trick Gaki or enemies into it. It's pretty niche, but if they fall for it, it is a one-hit kill. They'll just disappear. It'll solve problem. And let's see over here. This might be the Fujiwara carriage. And we find ourselves some more Sutegumo. There appears to be a corpse in the shadows. Nothing else there. Pretty much looks like everyone in the complex has had a bad night. Some way or another. So I guess there's nothing left here, so it is time to move on. And now we're going to head down to the Spring Pavilion. Listen closely. Ghostly sounds of a party. Let's circle the drain. See what's here. So, you might not realize, but a lot of these objects here have physics. If you are careless and you run through the place, you might trip some things over, and that will automatically spawn some ghosts who will tempest you. It's sort of like it's an environmental hazard for the most part. And what's this? It looks like something super important. Yes, sacred cloth, earth. Blood-stained cloth removes seal, earth. So now we have access to level 3 doors, and I can see something else that's super important for us right now, and it looks like another one of those guardian dog lions, also known as a Koma Inu. That's the word I forgot about. So there's the other Koma Inu. So we can complete that puzzle that we saw earlier. It looks like there was a party and it was interrupted. And here's another wicker chest. The game calls them chests. They look to be more like wicker caskets. Those of you who've seen Grave of the Fireflies will know what I'm on about. And part of the funeral rites is to place somebody into a wicker casket and have that casket be the vessel for which cremation happens. And it is covered with silk. Probably silk from this place. And now that we have all of that done, let's go back around, because now we have a couple of more doors to unlock. I don't want to run in here because ghosts. But I do know where we can use that earth seal immediately. So let's go do that. Oh, it must be the other... Yeah, it's the other side. Take 2. So, what do we have in here? Looks like it's a library. There's scrolls all over the place. And we find ourselves another vessel. Something else is blinking. We find ourselves another spell card, Hien. Summer's Wrath in the form of fire. It's brand new to us. It's sort of a an increased version of the spell that we have equipped right now. But we'll save that. Now that we're done there, we can go check up on our sister. We left her alone, long enough, I guess. She did value her privacy. Let's go check the tent. Lots and lots of blood. Looks like they've already left out this door. But they've left it open. What's inside? Something is there. Some more hibari. But we can also complete a puzzle. Because now we have the second Komainu. And we'll plop him right there. And it opens. What's inside? The altar door opened. There's something inside. So we have another disc. It's an old disc decorated with a beast on it. And it's hard for me to see what it actually is supposed to look like. I'm actually canting my head right now trying to figure it out. But I'm pretty sure it's listed in the clue for this puzzle that we'll pick up later. And we also get another scroll. And this is one of those scrolls I alluded to earlier about that the puzzles have clues laid in all over the place, but you don't need them because you can brute force them really easily. And so here is the map for the Big Dipper portion. The very center portion of that map. Mizar, Merguez, Alioth, Alcade. So this is a really interesting little map. but it will tell you what the stars are named. And this doesn't work by itself. It'll work with the other scroll that we'll come across later. So now, if we take a quick look at our items, we now have the Mercury, Venus, and Earth seals. And we have 2 of the wooden discs, as well as 2 of the spikes. So we're looking for 1 more disc and 1 more spike. We've also found our like sister, technically, but probably technically it's probably not good enough. So I suppose it is time to head towards the North Pavilion. Go this way, because it's inviting. This door won't open. Sometimes I have a habit of second-guessing myself, but now this Gaki, whether you like it or not, will notice you, and he will come attack. So he's not dead. Going for the kill. But now that he's noticed you, the front door is passable. Okay, so we're gonna keep going. We're going to keep going to those 2 and 3 doors. And see what's behind them, because now that we can open them, we should. So this looks to be another tiny little bedroom. And here is that other scroll I mentioned. And so it tells us the south, west, east, north directions, and also the Chinese zodiac with horse at the noon position. Rooster first, monkey last. The signs should be as followed. Left to right, top row. Left, right to left, middle row. Left to right, bottom row. And it is more or less just to help you with that first puzzle, but I've already completed it, so it's pretty useless now. It seems like the game really wanted you to do a bit more backtracking than you actually do have to. And here's some more Tsuchijogo. And that's about it. We also have this ominous door that we can now open. So, if we remember the warning, it says that the creature inside is not a Gaki. Wonder what it could be. But first, we find that we're on the other side of the blockage. Don't need to go that way yet. So it's very dark. The Gaki are all over the place. They're really rude. Crashing through the wall like that. Super rude. And up on the top left-hand corner, you can see another door. But he isn't the only Gaki. They come in pairs. Listen, man, I don't want a hug. Keep your hugs to yourself. Thank you. And for those who might not know what a Gaki is, a Gaki is a reanimated, well, in this game it's a reanimated corpse, but it wants to eat. It has a ridiculous appetite, and it could never be sated. It's one of the hungry dead. So that's just... This is basically just so that you can fight the second Gaki if you need to run backwards and get some room. It's not tank controls, but it certainly still kind of feels like that sometimes. Let's continue on. Check this door. And here is another casket covered in silk. But as we find, it's a trap. Thread clings to the corner of the box. It's completely empty. But a Gaki comes up behind us and tries to ambush us. Also, very rude. And so now you can see that the map marks them all. And there's only one door left to go. Just gonna show. Ends in a dead end. We can open it. But before we do that, we need to prepare. Let's try out our new spells. Take a look at this opening. And that bell, probably my favorite cue in this entire game. It actually starts the trailer, the original trailers for this game. But we need a bell to get Ayako to open the door. A little bit of a tempest attacks us. And when we look behind us, the door is blocked. How's that for an inventive fog wall? Oh well. But we still need that bell. So we're going to summon our wolf. Oh yeah, I have not cast any spells yet. So now that we're out of spells, because they are one-time use, we're going to re-equip another spell. We're going to use our Hibari. As it turns out, Saiga will pretty much solo this boss. Saiga is basically Tarkus of this game. We're going to unequip him because he's really powerful. And so he is super special occasion right there. The bell keeps chiming. Okay, so there's a lot to talk about with this bell, actually, that the localization just completely overlooks. It's an elegant bronze plated bell with a handle. The thing about this bell and what's important about this bell narratively is that it is called a kangosho. It's a Japanese word for Vajra, which is a symbol of esoteric Buddhism, and it's used by the Shingon and Tendai sects. It represents the diamond and thunderbolt realms within that philosophy. And so it is majorly important, and it's an important symbol within that belief system. And it really shows how devout this Fujiwara group may have been at the outset. And that sound tells us that the fog wall has dropped. And if Utsuki takes a look at the body, hard to recognize, but it seems to be the lord of the manor, Fujiwara. She recognizes him. Well, she only lives up the mountain pass within the complex, so she would definitely know what he looks like. How could this have happened? Defeating Lord Fujiwara also causes a world state change. There are a couple of new enemies here and there, and some new enemy placements. The manor has become a lot more dangerous. So let's make sure our knife stays out. And so my idea is that Fujiwara was looking for that bell to get Ayako, because he, of all people, knew where that bell was, and he was being puppeted by what looks like our sister. And so we get there just as he's getting there, which causes the boss fight. Now we need to go back to Ayako. Fastest way over. Guess it's this way. We take a look at the changed door. It looks like somebody left the door open, so let's quickly take a peek. If we take a peek, the room is now covered in blood, and a gaki has been tossed in here. Looks like it was defeated in battle. Could it have been Sakuya? But now, with the heartbeat going, we do know that something is out there. I do not want to fight a corrupted priest, so I'm just going to run right by him. He hurts a lot. Survival horror rules. If you don't have to fight it, probably shouldn't. As we make our way past the partitions and the elegant belongings back to Ayako's chamber, victorious with the bell. So let's give it a ring. Fujiwara Ayako.
I sense an evil, a presence wanting to devour souls.
I have no idea, but for some time now, I've been hearing a song at nightfall. And disease has spread through this place. The hungry, they roam the manor at night. Then, when I hear that song, I fear I'll be killed, or worse, abducted.
We found you.
And that may in fact be the end of Fujiwara Ayako. It turns out opening the door let the bad people in. And it's probably our fault, but we can't dwell on the past, so let's loot the present. First we find another silkworm journal, which we did see when we peered through the eye hole. Silkworm Journal Volume 2, Records of Silkworms kept by Miyoshimaru. June 27th. The silkworms have lost their fur. Their bodies are beautiful, shiny, and translucent. I'm worried, though. Some of them seem weak. They don't move at all. Miyoshimaru told me that the silkworms that don't move are just sleeping, and that I don't need to worry. So silkworms sleep too? July 4th. I noticed that the silkworms had grown when I looked at them this morning. Though only a few days have passed, they've doubled in size. They grow much faster than people. Miyoshimaru has been so kind to me. I must give him something. I wonder what he'd like. July 5th. I'm going to teach Miyoshimaru to read and write. I tried to give him the little sword Father gave me, but he wouldn't accept it. He's not at all greedy. Some of the silkworms don't eat very much. They're just like him. July 10th. The silkworms have shed their skins many times and continue to grow. They're all so different. Some of them lift up their heads and look around as though they were thinking, while others crawl all around all day. A few have died. July 18th. The silkworms do nothing but devour mulberry leaves all day. They've grown so fat, I'm worried they'll burst out of their skins. Miyoshimaru said they'll be cocoons soon. We also find dust, healing herbs crushed into powder form, and one more metal spike. And that is the last of the metal spikes that we need. Now all we need is one more wooden disc. And I know just where that is. Down to that middle shrine. Yeah, I'll just go this way. But first, we notice that items have been pushed aside. Has someone passed through here? And so this will be our next past here. And they mean these items that I showed off at the beginning. That will be our next area. But first, let's go grab whatever's in that shrine. Now that the shortcut is open. We can open up the shrine, and now we can peer around what's inside. Looks like our last wooden disc. Crow disc, wooden disc decorated with a crow carving. Spell card, Hibari. Fiery arrows piercing an enemy. And there's nothing left inside the shrine. So now that we can do that, we can head back to a save point. If we so chose. Or we can continue on, which I'm going to do. Oh, I don't want to fight him. Forgot all about him. Nope, don't want to fight you. It's funny how it opens that shortcut, but then it also puts down a very tough enemy. Now we have some Yamabito. Super tough. And so this one is now dead. We can see that she's on high alert. So we're gonna do a quick meditation because I know we did get hit once. We have a few of them just lying around. And how rude of the game to put a hole blocking our exit. So let's do what we normally do, and that is circle drain, and we'll find lots of goodies. First, we found some more hibari. We found that the Yamabito has dropped us an elixir, which is a better healing item. We see another shiny just to our right, which is a vessel. We see more Yamabito. There's one that is alive. When you get close to him, it will trigger. Let's take a look around a little bit more. We see that there's a couple more shinies. Another elixir. And there's one off in the distance. well as a lantern. If we come on down here, we find that we're at a shore. And up at the shore, there's another tent. A woman and a man speaking. He's very quick, as you saw. Putting space between you and him is hard to do. He's also not dead, so we're gonna fix that real fast. And he is another one of those corrupted priests. He hit me a total of 1 time, and we will see that he already put me into yellow. Like Fujiwara, who I've heard that can hit you twice and kill you, the corrupted priests are very similar. Utsuki does not have a whole lot of health, but she has a dagger. So, with him out of the way, and the woman at the tent having pieced out, let's see what they were talking over. So here is another clue, a constellation map, plate inscribed with star names. So the lock has 3 parts, and each part needs to be unlocked. Point arrow to there, and Shiro something connects with something Getsu. Point arrow to that word. Sounds can also play an important role. Listen closely. And there's your final clue that if you can't read that, just listen to the sound and brute force it. But again, we don't need this clue because we've already brute forced it. And we get a new spell called Fumon, a silk coffin for a weakened enemy. So yeah, it'll put a weakened enemy into a silk coffin, and I think it's supposed to tie them up. And there's nothing else here, and it is a strange little optional event that I wanted to show you. It changed my mind a little bit, but there is another save point right over here. Which we don't actually need to use, but it's nice to use anyway. So now we're going to head to the small shrine and then call it an episode. So here we need to carefully navigate around, try and not capture the Yamabito's attention. And I'm just gonna take off at a run. Because again, if you don't need to fight them, You probably shouldn't. It's a mark of a great game to know that you just want to keep going. And it's a mark of a really good horror game to know that you kind of want to know what's behind the next door. And I'd love to hear what you guys think of as really effective as in horror. Just to hear what you guys think. And a lot has been spilled on that subject in and of itself. And while I agree with that too, one thing that I think is really successful for me is when a horror film or piece of media says something about the society at large. And that's why I really like Kaidan as much as I do. Because it is something about society, or the society at the time. And while it's not a Kaidan, the Ring cycle does have a lot to say about the power of ideas, weaponized ideas, and the terror that can be caused by the Japanese media and how insane it gets. So we have... I went. A weird way. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, this is the beginning. I was thinking about horror and stuff like that. The horror movie Kuon, at least its first one, and I'm only talking about the first entries in their series because a lot of horror franchises tend to jump the shark, but its first one will always say something about the world it is in. And Kuon, as a scary story, is kind of a parable itself about not helping your neighbors. Because the culpability for Kayako and Toshio's death lies with everyone who stood by and watched and said nothing because they feared for their own reputations. So, Utsuki finds herself back at the spring. She feels like somebody's watching her, but she can't really see anybody in the bushes. So let's turn around. Must be nothing. Uh-oh. So we're ambushed by a trio of Ningyo, or a type of Ningyo the game calls Mizuhiki, I think. I know Iconoclast mentions it, that they're called something other than Ningyo. And Ningyo are basically those things. And they are the ones who've been pulling bodies into the water, who've been stalking Utsuki whenever she comes near enough to the water. But again, if you don't need to fight them, you probably shouldn't. They take a lot to kill. And we've already been attacked by their green ranged attack, and they have a pretty powerful melee attack. So let's calm ourselves down and head back to the shrine. They're kind of like mermaids, but they're dead. If we check this camera angle, we can see that the Gaki over there has not yet given up. But we can also be reminded that we can enter in there. First of all, let's take a look at this here puzzle, because now we have all 3 pieces. So this is more or less a cycle of life. So you can seal the openings with wooden discs and spikes, and we have all 3 of them now. There is a clue within the building nearby. Shouldn't take too long. Don't give up, guy. Don't give up. The shadow guys are just kind of watching. So we've used Sacred Cloth Venus. And we find that there's nothing in here. The shadows were a bit of a lie. We find some more Tsuchijogo. Camera angles. Go down the middle. And we find a dead body right here, who, in his dying moments and in his own blood, wrote the following: "I will die here, but I will not allow them to devour my flesh." You do you, sir. You do you. But there is a shiny, and it is a shrine entrance guide. Old wooden disc covered with writing. Actually a plank. The cocoon eaten by insects. The 8-legged trap will become fodder for the thief. The defiled will be pierced by a poison fang. The creature crawling on the ground must defer to the creature in the sky. Black wings will be gnawed to bits. Fur will be ripped off by a child. The child will become a man, only to be eaten by a woman. I remember Hunter, when Hunter streamed this, said that it is the most edgy thing they've read. But now that we have that clue, we can do that puzzle. We have everything we need now. So the puzzle runs in a clockwise manner. At the noon, it asks for the noon position, and it asks for the bottom right position, the bottom left position. As you can see, at the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, there is a spider. At the 3 o'clock, there is a dog, and so on. It corresponds to the poem we just read. There is, at the 8 o'clock position, there is a child, even though it kind of looks like just a young adult wearing a kimono. Above him is a man, above the man is a woman, and that is the cycle of eating. So, the silkworm disc goes at the top to be eaten by the spider. The poison fang ends up with the dog. And then put the crow down here, and the old goes right there. And this opens the door, showing us a ladder going down. Where could it lead? We'll figure that out next time. For now, let's send our sin down the river. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys write down what makes horror really great in your book. I'll see you then.